The movie starts with showing a girl named Juliet. Juliet is a nurse and she works in the emergency ward of the hospital. At night, when Juliet was in her hotel, we see that Juliet remembers someone, due to which she cannot sleep. Actually, Juliet has a breakup a few days ago, due to which she remains a little disturbed. The next day Juliet goes to look for a rental apartment for herself. But when she sees this apartment she doesn't like it. After some time Juliet gets a call for another apartment. So Juliet goes there to look for that apartment. Juliet meets Max here, the owner of the apartment. Juliet likes this apartment very much, but that apartment was very big, so Juliet thinks that maybe the rent of this apartment will be too high. But on asking Max tells Juliet the rent is very low, on which Juliet asks why you have kept such a low rent for such a big apartment. Hearing this, Max says that every day a train passes below this building, due to which there is a little disturbance to the people living here, and that is why I have kept the rent of this apartment low, so that people do not have any problem. Juliet didn't care about all these things, so she rents this apartment and starts living here. Juliet meets Max's father here, talking to whom Juliet likes his behavior very much. Juliet now starts living in her new house. One night when Juliet was sleeping, she realizes that someone is in the house, but when she checks in the house, she does not see anyone here, due to which Juliet goes to sleep again. Then we see the shadow of a man near the window, which means that some man is keeping an eye on Juliet. Next day Juliet gets a gift outside her apartment. Seeing she thinks that Max must have kept it here, so Juliet thanks Max for that gift, but Max says that my father has given you that gift, not me. Juliet comes to say Max's father thanks. Max's father asks Juliet to have coffee with him, but Juliet had some urgent work due to which she leaves here. Now a few days later Juliet comes to an art exhibition with her friend. Max was also there in this exhibition. Juliet is very surprised when she sees Max here. Both talk to each other. After some time Juliet asks Max to go home with her. Max agrees and both leave to come home together. On the way, both of them talk a lot, due to which both of them become very good friends. We see Juliet's ex-boyfriend whose name is Jack. He was looking at them together. On reaching home, Juliet becomes a little emotional. She wanted to kiss Max, but Max stops it. Juliet feels very embarrassed by this act, due to which she leaves from here. The next day when Juliet was in the hospital, she gets a call from Max. Max invites Juliet for dinner tonight. In the night, Juliet comes to Max's house to have dinner. After talking for a while, Juliet tells Max that after a long day, I am feeling like my home here, and all this is happening because of you. Listening to Juliet, Max likes it very much. Juliet asks Max about his wife. Then Max says I have not married yet, because I never got time to take a girl on a date. After having dinner, Juliet starts leaving from here, but then she suddenly returns and starts kissing Max. Here we are shown a flashback scene. We know that Max already knows Juliet. Actually, when Max had brought his father to the hospital, then only he saw Juliet here, and it was found in the hospital itself that Juliet is looking for an apartment on rent, and that's why Max called Juliet to give him his apartment. Here we get to know another shocking thing, that the man whose shadow we saw in Juliet's house was the shadow of Max. Actually, Max had built this apartment in such a way that he could sneak into Juliet's room whenever he wanted, and since Juliet is living in this apartment, every day Max secretly comes to Juliet's room, sees it sleeping. From this act of Max, we know that Max is completely obsessed with Juliet. In present time Juliet was with Max. Both were going to be physical, but Juliet stops Max and says that I cannot do this. Actually, Juliet was still depressed because of their breakup. When Max hears this, then he leaves without saying anything to Juliet. The next day, Max follows Juliet to the supermarket. When Juliet sees Max in the supermarket, she apologizes to him, and says that I need some time to forget my ex. Hearing this, Max's behavior is such that as if he has no problem with all this. This night when Juliet was sleeping in her room, then Max comes here and kisses Juliet. By kissing Juliet, sleep opens. Seeing that Max quickly leaves from here, Juliet gets up and starts looking for something in the room, but only then she sees a hidden room here. Max was hiding in this room. Actually, this is the same room from which Max always used to come to Juliet's room. Here Max is lucky enough that Juliet cannot see it. The next day, Juliet tells Max about that empty room. Max stays here for the whole day to fix that room. After finishing the work, Max touches Juliet's things and imagines it with him. After this, when Juliet comes to her house, she comes to the kitchen to cook food for herself, but Max was watching it secretly. Max learns that Jack is going to come here to have dinner with Juliet. When Juliet is not here, Max comes to the house through the kitchen. On the other hand, we see Jack, who comes to Juliet's house with his pet. Seeing Jack, Max again goes and hides in the same room, but Jack's dog had seen him. Dog barks at Max, but Juliet and Jack do not pay much attention to him. These two talk here for a while and then get physical. Max was watching all this secretly, which makes him feel very jealous. After some time Jack remembers some work, due to which he starts leaving from here. Juliet comes to drop Jack till the door. On the other hand, we see Max who sneaks into the room. and mixed drugs to Juliet wine. Juliet drinks this wine. Max comes here while Juliet was sleeping. Max touches Juliet. Touching Max doesn't make any difference to Juliet, because Max had mixed sleeping medicine in wine. The next day Juliet wakes up late, due to which she is late to go to the hospital. When Juliet meets a friend in the hospital, we come to know from the words of both, that Juliet comes late to the hospital for a few days. Juliet also feels that something is wrong with it in that apartment. When Juliet comes home, she installs many cameras in her room. Max does not know anything about these cameras. On the other hand, we see Max who kills his father by injecting him with poison, because his father always used to call it scold. By this action of Max we know how crazy Max is. At night, Max sees Juliet and Jack together, due to which his anger increases even more. When Jack was on his way back to his house, Max deliberately pushed him down the stairs. On the other hand, when Juliet comes home, she checks the recording of her camera, but she does not see anything in the footage. Juliet closes the video and start drinking wine. Max has mixed sleeping medicine in this wine. After drinking wine, Juliet falls into a deep sleep. After putting Juliet to sleep, Max comes here and starts doing wrong with Juliet. But then suddenly Juliet comes to her senses. Seeing this, Max quickly injects drug into Juliet's body, due to which Juliet faints again, and Max leaves from here. Due to drugs, Juliet wakes up late in the morning and she starts getting ready to go to the hospital early. Juliet finds the injection cap under the bed here, which she understands that there is someone who gives her drugs at night. On reaching the hospital, Juliet gets her blood and urine tested, so that she can know that there is really no drug in her body. In the hospital itself, he receives a message from Jack that tonight he is going to come to his house for dinner. On the other hand, we see Max, who was coming to Juliet's house and touching her clothes. When Jack comes to the house to have dinner, Max gets alert after hearing Jack's voice. When Jack puts his stuff in the kitchen, then it sees a secret room in the kitchen. When Jack was looking at this room, we see Max behind it. After this, the scene gets cut here. In the next scene, we see Juliet, whose report had come. Seeing the report, Juliet comes to know that there are drugs in her blood. That is, her suspicion turned out to be true. Juliet understood that she was not safe at home, so she tries to tell Jack not to go home. But Jack does not pick up Juliet's call. Juliet has now come to her house. She looks Jack's stuff here, but Jack is not here. When Juliet checks the recording of her camera, she is quite shocked here. Actually, there is no one else to drug Juliet in the night, but he is Max. Max every day give drugs to Juliet, do wrong things with her every day. Juliet is very much surprised to know all these things. Then Max comes to meet Juliet. He also brought a bottle of wine with him. Juliet here tries to make Jack appear as if she doesn't know the truth about Max. Max offers Juliet wine, but Juliet refuses to drink wine, as it suspects that Max must have mixed some medicine in the wine. Juliet comes to the kitchen and starts calling Jack, but then Max also comes here. Max snatches Juliet's phone, because by Juliet's behavior Max understood that Juliet has come to know all the truth about it. Max comes close to Juliet and tries to inject him with drugs, but Juliet had a knife with which she attacks Max, and starts running away. But Max catches him. There is a fight between these two, due to which Max comes out of the room and locks all the doors, so that Juliet cannot run away from here. Max had injected Juliet with a drug, due to which Juliet's begin to be affected by the drug. Juliet comes to the washroom and takes some medicine, so that the effect of the drug is reduced. When Juliet was going out of the washroom, Max suddenly catches her. Max tries to kill her, but Juliet runs away by touching her with a knife. Running away, Juliet comes to a room where she gets a nail punching machine. She starts looking for a way out of the house with that machine, when suddenly Max comes in front of Juliet and knocks it down by hitting a punch. Max was about to kill Juliet, when Juliet attacked him with a nail punching machine, due to which Max gets injured and he falls down. Max was still alive and he tries to kill Juliet, but Juliet somehow escape and enter the storeroom. Juliet sees Jack's dead body here, which was killed by Max. Juliet gets very scared. After some time Max comes to the storeroom looking for Juliet. Max looks for Juliet here, but he doesn't know that Juliet is after him. We see that Juliet comes to kill Max from behind, but Max catches it. The machine was still in Juliet's hands, due to which she attacks Max 6 to 7 times with the machine, due to which Max gets injured a lot. Max is still not dead. He attacks Juliet again, but Juliet hits a nail in his head, due to which Max is killed here. After killing Max, Juliet leaves from here. With this the movie ends here.